It's me. This is a review for episode 2 of Picard, and I had a lot of notes this time. I just rewatched it. I watched it twice. One for like enjoyment, and then one for like note taking because I have been slacking on my notes. But I feel like sometimes, though I like notes, so it's like six in one, half a dozen, and then I'm gonna have to diatribe about notes here. I love notes because I love being able to like know my talking points while I'm thinking of them, so that like I don't miss anything. But it also kind of hinders my excitement about it at first. Having said that, I also get mad at myself for like not talking about certain things that I wanted to talk about. So notes it is. So I said I watched this twice so that like first time I can get the impact and then second time I can have my notes. Okay, first things first. It's pretty much walking through the episode. I like Jack. I like him a lot. I think I saw him in Downton Abbey before, and he kind of played the same character as it's Downton Abbey as you can get, because they're not going to go ahead and talk about all kinds of sarcasm and stuff like that in Downton Abbey, because that's what it is. But I really like him a lot. His initial here's what we're trying to do and the weapons and 30% and blah blah blah, that was cute. And then the dude says the marked woman, and I was like, crap, who the hell's marked? Well, obviously we find out who that is, but you know what I'm saying, like, I understand how we were setting it up. When he starts talking about how everybody's coming after him, it doesn't matter what they are, I definitely was like, the first thing I thought of was a bounty on his head. Now we always wonder, like, why is there a bounty on his head? Who put the bounty on his head? Aside from all of his activities, is there like one specific entity that did? Like, did Starfleet go ahead and put one on his head? Or I doubt that they did, because Starfleet doesn't do that. But who put it on his head? So it's interesting. I liked how they were throwing around the title. They did a good. It was funny what they were doing with titles here. How he was pretty much like, you're a captain. He's like, I'm an admiral, and he's like, by the way I hear it, there should be one less pip on your shit. And I was like, oh damn, sarcasm. And then later on, that part that they do captain, and like 3 people turn around and go, yes, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of thought that was funny. That was a nice little scene right there where like someone yells captain and 3 people respond. Even Picard, who's an admiral now, but who can't stop being a captain in his head. So I liked that. That was cool. I put Shaw and 7. Oh, Shaw and 7 fighting. I do like their little bickering back and forth. I feel like this is one of the more confrontational captain first mate situations that we see. Usually like the first mate gets along for the most part with the captain, but apparently this is like, I guess they're just comfortable with it being like wildly confrontational and just pushing back on each other, but whatever. One thing that, and I'm wondering if like 7 doesn't realize it's not supposed to be like this. If she's just like, well, this is part of the gig. If I wanted to be on the ship, it was going to be like this, because she just had, the only example that she could see firsthand was Chakotay and Janeway. I can remember her name for a second, but like they were affectionate, and I don't know. I feel like maybe she thinks this is normal, but it's not. By the way, Riker looked like he was having a fucking ball in this episode. Like, every time Jack opened his mouth to speak, you could all but hear Riker giggling in the background, because Picard is like, it's like listening to 2 Picards. Even when he makes that cute little statement where he's like, seems very familiar, doesn't it? Wink, wink. You know what I mean? Like, thought that was funny. We've talked about this before, but I'm going to mention it again just because it does bother me. So Picard, obviously, we know that Patrick Stewart's getting older and stuff like that. So there's so many points where, like, his voice will crack. And, like, I get it, old age does that and stuff like that. But the moment he is stern with something, there he sounds like him. When he's like, belay that, engage. Oh, we're talking about engage in a minute. But, like, all of the, like, whenever he is getting abrupt or loud, then it sounds like him, and then it makes me happy. Let's talk about Raffi for a minute. So Raffi's okay. I struggled with the whole Raffi, like the Raffi Raffi got a lot of time on this episode. Like, I want to say like 45% of this episode was Raffi time. And the first time I watched this through, Raffi's monologue, it seemed like it went on too long and it seemed like it was overacting and stuff. But then watching it the second time, I was like, yeah, she's spinning out and she's frustrated and she's lonely. So maybe that's why the overdoing it of it. I feel like she was just overacting. I just didn't feel like it was as, like she could have taken a beat more. And then would have been more heartfelt, more heart-wrenching, that kind of thing. But it was weird. Like, I kept going back and forth on whether I liked it or not. Having said that, you know, as I watched this that second time, knowing that the person who she was talking to was Worf, I'm like mad at myself for not like noticing the cadence of the mysterious talking computer was Worf. Because, you know, if I put this on mute, you know what I mean, and watch just what happens on the screen, I could hear Worf saying it with the exact cadence that the computer did. We're gonna talk about Worf in a minute too. So that I thought was interesting. Because they did it nicely, but they did it in such an obscure way that like, oh, so that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like once you find out who it is. We'll go back to Picard real quick. So I thought it was interesting how instead of strategizing, the way that like normally they do and stuff like that, he was like, I'm not strategizing, I'm safeguarding. I'm like, what the hell do you mean? And he was like, with age and wisdom comes the ability to play the long game, to think ahead like 10 steps, to be like, okay, they're going to try and take you. So let's say, and like he did it enough so that like you could see who they were trying to take, but they couldn't take him. And then all he had to do was just stand there and turn the knob. I thought that was very well thought out in terms of like, Picard's been down this road enough times to understand, like, you know, to not only be preemptive about something, but do it in a way that's educational. So I thought that was clever, you know, for him to do it. But I guess that comes with like the age and wisdom. While they're doing that and they're getting ready to get hit on, the Titan shows up looking majestic as fuck with her magic music and stuff like that. Like, again, I don't know why I'm into this ship, but I'm like very into this ship. Maybe because she's about to like be, you know, the last one in this area, in this like, you know, for a while or ever. But like, I find her majestic. At first I got nervous because I didn't see them, like, you know, the Titan transported Riker, Picard, and Crusher, but I didn't see Beverly, and I got like mad nervous. And I was like, where the fuck is Beverly? Like, y'all gonna forget Beverly and stuff like that? Only watching it after the second time did I get to the point where I was like, oh, okay, they brought her separately, and then they mentioned that she's like, you know, recovering and blah, blah, blah. So thought that was cool. I'm gonna go throw more Raffi stuff towards the end. So we finally meet Vadic. I have to say, I enjoy this big bad, mostly because she's fucking ridiculously terrifying in a Dolores Umbridge, Aunt Lydia kind of way. I hope you understand my references. Harry Potter and Handmaid's Tale. But if you know those two characters, you understand what I mean by that. Like, the fact that she's giggling while she's making crazy ass threats. She's like she's flying an armory. Like, that's what she's doing. And like the fact that there are weapons that they don't know what they are, like, I find that fascinating. Because like there's like, what new weapon could there be? And not only is a matter of what new weapon could there be, how creatively destructive are these people? To the point where, like, when she went ahead and grabbed that tractor beam to grab that other ship to throw at them, I laughed because I was like, we've never had a ship. We've never had another one of our ships thrown at us before. Like, that's fucking, wow. That's formidable and brilliant and wow. Because when he's like, what the hell is that? And LaForge, who by low-key here is like all of us, was like, they just threw a ship at us. Like, shit is... wow, you know what I mean? So I actually enjoyed that. Of all the weapons we've ever been hit with, one of our own ships being thrown at us like a toy is creative. Again, Aunt Lydia, Vadic, um, the way that she kept picking at different people. So the way that she would talk about Shaw and she called him, it's nice to see you, functional. It was like she was finding weird ways to dig at them that I really kind of enjoyed. Like, what does she mean by functional? Is he a functioning alcoholic? Is he like, has he been broken in the brain? Like, what happened to him that makes him functional? And then what I thought was interesting as well is that when she moved on to Picard, Jean-Luc Picard, like she definitely said his name with a full-on French accent, and she was like in the synthetic flesh. But to be fair, I actually do appreciate that she mentioned synthetic flesh because I forgot that he was a synthetic flesh thing and that the real Picard died or some shit a while back. But like we kind of stopped talking about that for a while, and I'm glad someone mentioned it because I'm like he's aging, he's never gonna die or something. That's fucking weird. But I liked her a lot, like as a bad guy, because I was like, damn, chick, like you covered all the creepy ass bases right now, and you just like you again, Dolores Umbridge and Aunt Lydia, and she's so good at finding the perfect words while giggling to tear you to shreds. Like, oh, I was like, every time she'd talk, I was constantly giving chef's kisses, and like, I don't know, I was a fan of, and that doesn't happen a lot that I'm a fan of bad guys. What else? As we're discovering who the con man is. So my brain started going through, like, is this really, like, now that we know he's a con man, is it really Beverly's son? And, like, Shaw even brings this up, and like, that's a moment where I kind of, like,